All right, y'all. So we're going to try and get this YouTube action back up and going. Kind of stabilize things in my life a little bit, stabilize this Instagram business stuff a little bit more. So hopefully we can keep this constant. So the thing that we are going to be doing, let's see, it's Tuesday today, so it'll go out on Wednesdays, and that's or at least for now, it'll go out on Wednesdays. It's called this is me just dropping my shoes on the ground, or my slippers. Something about reviewing the Instagram post from last week. Now, I don't have a selection process, but, we'll figure it out. We're just kind of, building it as we fly, as they say. So let's jump into this. We're looking at 3 to 4, maybe 3 to 5 Instagram posts. We're looking at 4 this week. So the first one is the first ever high conversion beginner fly. So me teaching fly, it's always been a fear-based stroke, right? Like the kids' fear of what's going on drives their ability to think the fly is easy. And when they think it's easy and when the drills are easy, their stress response disappears and fly becomes an easy thing. Let's see what we have down here. Your head, your shoulders, cervix. Okay. So yeah, there's like 3 main issues that keep butterflies from developing sound fly. So one, the hips are bouncing at the wrong time. You can kind of see that right here, how when she kicks to come up, her hips should be flat. That's why we're doing this drill, to teach her what flat hips feel like as she's moving through her arms. The second one, we have the weak shoulders, core, and back muscles. I remember when I played basketball, when I was in high school, swimmers have notoriously bad postures. I remember one time my coach was like, get your arms up, and I couldn't, it felt like I was struggling like Atlas to hold my arms up. And just thinking back on that, it was like, man, my upper back was that weak in my traps that I couldn't even hold my arms up above my head, which goes into upper body strength in the genders, but we're not talking about that right now. So weak shoulders, core, and back muscles, we're going to get them on that early, the 8 and unders, get them used to holding up their arms in the air, get those muscles fired up and get them to start developing earlier. And then they have limited time, or they believe they have limited time to move their arms. So just by getting them upright, we're showing them that they can do everything. Then we take it to the drill progressions. A big part of the limited time is they're moving from a lot of times behind their back. And once a swimmer gets here, they can't go up. The only way they can go is here, right? So what we try to get them is to, instead of going back or pulling back behind them, to exit to their T. And now it's a very small recovery by the time their arms exit. And that's why when you watch her swim right here, she's exiting very wide. And it's very easy for her to get those arms up because she's practiced it. So the purpose of our Reykli content is performance, right? So this would be from our BB content. Now it works for 12 and unders, but it's purpose for 8 and unders. So if this was a club setting, your, bronze or sub-bronze kids, your beginner kids, or the group just above them would be learning this stuff to about age 8 and 9. And then 9, 10, 11, 12, they would be adding in the AA content, which is the propulsive elements, which is really what most swimmers have all through college, right? Maybe you have to go to a top 5, top 8 program to get the real world-class skill training that makes, people qualify for national teams and Olympic teams and World University Games, Team USA travel teams, right? Or train in certain pockets in the U.S., mainly West Coast or East Coast. That's another story about why those are the hot spots. But so what we're trying to do is, a lot of coaches have that, top 10% of kids who you give them any drill, no matter how bad the drill is, they achieve in spite of it and develop good fly. Well, what about the middle 60%, right? What about the back or bottom of the barrel 20%? So what we did is we took a lot of the fly stuff. I'm a self-taught flyer. We definitely got some help from Crocker. A lot of film was watched on Phelps trying to figure out how to be efficient with my fly so I could train it. I believe that training is the best way to get faster in any stroke or any race. And breaking it down into a drill, a drill progression that doesn't violate the high-end skills, the world-class skills, but takes the pieces that apply to 8 and unders and develops those. So if they didn't learn anything else, they'd still have those pieces that would tap into their motor skills and develop world-class skills as they get older. So the first ever high conversion beginner fly progression, it's called that because it is meant for performance. So this is meant to get you that, if you're in USA, those BB time standards and in mass. So not just your top kids, your top 8 and unders, the middle pack. So that way you're taking a team of kids to these meets, right? If you're here in Texas, right, you know about tags, Texas Age Group Championships. If you're a small team, you can't go play the numbers game, right? So every kid's got to matter. So this is meant to maximize that. And obviously, if you're a big team, you got more numbers to maximize. So, but that is the name of the game. It's the first ever high conversion beginner 5 progression that applies to your athletes en masse. It eliminates a lot of the errors that are in world-class skills that world-class athletes can overcompensate for. Your bottom talent group can't compensate for it. Right, so those gaps and leakages in the technique have to be eliminated. Thus, high conversion. Right, you're going to get a lot out of those low talent kids, but you're going to get all, make sure that the middle group of kids, I call it the core group, has what they need. All right, so our next skill or video. All right, is sprint breaststroke. Right, so. I spent a lot of time talking about sprint breaststroke, and what this is a snap and shoot drill. Now, so a lot of us have done this before. We called it the deer antler drill or the cactus drill. But what a lot of athletes do, or coaches have athletes do, is they kick and shoot everything together. When you want your sprint timing, I want you to snap the kick, bring those heels together, and then shoot. Right, and then you just shorten that time. Heels hit, shoot. Heels hit, shoot. Right, and the reason why is because when you're a swimmer, like, it's all about the motor skills. Now, the swimmer can't see the motor skills; they feel it. So we need to teach them what the kick actually feels like. So they interpret the kick as just this feeling. They don't interpret this part and then this part. So by having it be snap, then shoot, what happens is the kid is going to get here. They're going to tell themselves kick. Now, keep in mind, they only think about this. So this is their autopilot, all right, to push back. So when you tell them to get here and to snap, they're going to load the kick as they go into their shoot, and then their autopilot's going to naturally kick and drive them into that sprint breaststroke timing where they can hit their line like it's being done here, here. And then as soon as their face hits, boom, they're into their out sweep and their next pull. I use this predominantly for 10 unders for sure. 11, 12 can be a little iffy. Obviously, the 50s are everywhere now. So before 12 and unders had access to the 50s, so that's why I teach it to them. And I believe teaching sprint stuff and then dialing down power, it's a lot easier, I believe, to dial down talent than, or not talent, let's just say talent for a placeholder word, talent than it is to ramp it up. Performance, there we go, or however you want to say it. And yeah, so it's that snap, shoot, drill progression. Literally snap, then shoot, but as a motor skill, by the time those feet snap, or it's going to be actually the load that is finished, and then they're going to snap about the time those arms are finished shooting and take them immediately into their snap shoot. And then there's some fine tuning to make sure that the kick drives the body into a flat line. So when your face hits, boom, you're in your out sweep. All right, our third one is shoulder. All freestyle is shoulder-driven freestyle. So I remember being in college trying to find freestyle videos. This was, the dawn of Help Yourself YouTube, early 2010s, right? 2013 is when I discovered the 3 styles of freestyle through Club Wolverine and then the Race Club. That's Mike Bottom at Club Wolverine. Now, Mike Bottom obviously is a great coach. He was at Cal before Dave Durden, Coach Anthony Irvin, Dewey Gigania. Great track record for sprinters. And then obviously won a national championship at Michigan. So when we think about shoulder-driven freestyle, it's all about, you create that anchor point and then you're twisting past it and connecting that driving hand to create power on your pulling hand, right? This coming through snaps that opposite shoulder back. And all you got to do is make sure that you're holding on to the water and that you don't let your shoulder slide out as you twist through, right? You got to keep it back so it goes back with it. So once I really understand this, it's about 2014. I really only knew the opposite hands part of the shoulder driven. But 2014, after training with David, I have like a mastery over what's supposed to be done, right? And now it's just getting good at it. And what I realized is that my distance per stroke swimming and my sprint technique and distance per stroke technique is the same. I'm snapping through my shoulders, right? So if I'm doing my 1 beat kick with my anchor kick, once I take that kick, this is caught here, but I'm driving through my shoulders because I'm trying to keep my chest engaged and pull back with that hand, which is the exact same thing I do in my sprint freestyle. Now the difference, and this is where I don't mention, we gotta leave the cliffhangers to get you in the course, but the difference is obviously for sprinting is all this is gonna be narrow to the chest and the hand under the shoulder line. To make less power, it gets wider with the elbow, but the hand stays in the shoulder line. The pec is disengaged from the chest. Obviously, this is the worst where you're completely disengaged and now the arm's moving laterally instead of in front, right? And then some people, I would say the worst version, even though it's still very effective, is out here. This is going to be your lowest power version. Great for getting your tempo up when you're doing your endurance training. But yeah, it's still all shoulder, right? You set that catch or that arm's coming in, you take that anchor kick, boom, boom, through the chest. So it's all shoulder driven, all right? The hips being connected, that's kind of not going to occur naturally as you take that down kick, especially in the DPS. Sprinting, I like to really lock in and snap that hip forward, but nonetheless, not focusing or focusing on it is not going to affect the shoulder connection that both of them really do have. All right, our next one, number 3, we have, I believe it's, let me look, make sure I don't mess this up. Shoulders, thumb down, high conversion, Smith. Oh, no, shoulders, number 4. Number 4 is going to be our backhand recovery. So over here with a video with Gretchen Phelps and Christoph Mielak. So you can see right there, Gretchen's coming around with her palm down. This is crazy. Y'all should never, this is the thing about watching video, right? I saw somebody do this on Instagram, and it's just like, just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? Just because you have the range of motion doesn't mean you should, because you swim fast, enough people are going to follow you, and that's not good. If you're in the water, I want you to try and exit with your palms down and see what type of water you catch here, trying to drag it forward. I saw her do that, and it was just like, oh, like I could feel my shoulders screaming. And watch it, give it to your kids and see what happens. But anyway, so she's coming through the air here, but the place she's trying to get to is her instant chest press, right? So your instant chest press, your hand has to be able to get backwards. Right? A lot of people think it's here and you press your chest forward, but it's just math. It's an angle change, right? So instead of me pressing my chest to get this angle change, I can just sweep my arm backwards, right? Now, you cannot sweep your arm backwards with your hand like this. And if you look at Gretchen right there, she's like this. So I want everybody to do this with me, all right? Let's see who really jacks up their shoulder. Pinky down. I want you to stay narrow. How far back can you go before your hand almost can't go back and it has to slide wide? You can't even go backwards and down and narrow. Like I can almost feel it tearing, like trying to mess me up in there. All right, now let's just go palm down. I can feel it. Right, and remember, we're trying to stay narrow. Oh, it has to slide wide to do it. Oh, all right, now let's go thumb down. Oh, what's that? I can get extremely far back with both arms. That's crazy. Okay, so a lot of times people are talking all this trash on the internet about, no, you need to get your palms down. Your shoulder's not designed to move like that. And if you copy what you see Gretchen do here, you're going to find out you're going to have a lot of kids with some jacked up shoulders. Okay, especially if they can get to this position. Now, maybe she's that flexible. Maybe she's getting away with it because she's young. But like I said, there's a safe way to do it. Like, what are we risking? Are we seriously risking a world record for a lifetime of shoulder issues? Like, is that the type of time we're on when there's ways to actually do it that your body's meant to move through? Like, people even trip about Phelps' flexibility, but if you look at his videos in here, you will see his thumbs down. It don't make no sense. So anyway, the main point in this is, once again, just like the fundamental where the girl was going from the T to up, the high conversion, beginner fly drill, getting to that T. Boom. So that way it's just a very small space to get up. Right? And additionally, when you get to that T, you have range of motion anywhere. I talked about how with really with everybody, but with the young swimmers especially, once they get back here, they can't go anywhere. The hand can only go around. And the momentum, like from going around and then up, it's like a weird curvy loop, right? It's just not going to happen. But if you can get to your T, you can go back, you can go up and back, you can go forward. You have the most range, and your chest is open. You have the most range of motion there. So the T position, that's why, like I said, we take these world-class skills and take the pieces and apply them to the beginner content. That's why the T is there in that 8 and under skill set, because this is within their motor skill range, all right? Reaching up to the Y is within their motor skill range, all right? It's also within the kids range, but the thing is, when you start getting them flat like have the big kids do, it becomes more about trying to get a breath than actually doing the jaw right out of the little kids, the 8 and under's motor skill range. So we don't teach them that. Right? And then there's, some other content and stuff that goes into making sure their hands go up. For the 10 and unders, right, they just need to have good, I call it the bones of the stroke, right? We don't need the meat suit. We don't need the muscles. We don't need the fascia. We just need the bones, making sure they look like human bones, okay? Making sure they look like butterfly bones. Right here, you can see Phelps. We got the thumb down, pinky on top. Same thing with Milak, thumbs down, pinkies on top. Same thing with our rock star 8-year-old, or she's 9. Thumbs down, pinkies on top. 13, 14, thumb down, pinky on top. 17-year-old next, thumbs down, pinkies on top. Okay, and the reason why we say it's a reach up is because as a motor skill, once you go to press that chest, you're going this way, behind the ears and up. Okay, so that's why that flat piece is so important. So that is, in a nutshell, the Instagram review of the week. This stuff is not done haphazardly. Like, a lot of research goes into this, and I don't like to lose. So I would rather lose I'd rather be wrong and win than be right and lose. So a lot of this content, like even the 8 and under content, it was a different version before this that was very effective too. It's kind of funny. I have kids swimming under both versions now. The original versions from when I started coaching in 2014. And I saw him swimming against the kid using my new version, and you can see the differences, but the fundamental thing about swimming through the body motions and with the knees was still there in both their strokes. It was taught extremely differently between let's call 2014 and then the new version. I'd say the 2014 version worked for the region I was coaching in, but it definitely took more time to get good at it. But yeah, it was cool seeing that they got to the same place, but you could see the differences in drills and that manifested in their swims. Both great flyers. Like, the stroke is designed to be efficient, so it's still efficient for both athletes. But yeah, guys, that's it. Like, that's our review. Or I'll think of a better title. If you got one, a title you like, drop it in the comments. Let me know, because I'm probably going to come up with something super cheesy. If you got some cheese for me, drop it in the comments too. I'm trying to hear all of it. So thanks for tuning in. Peace.